This week on Real Talk with Denver7 and CPR News, building community through sororities and fraternities.
We'll explore the influence and impact of Greek letter organizations from college years and beyond.
We are really focused on helping women find a community that supports them and uplifts them.
I still love Greek life. I think it made me such a significantly better person.
And we'll take a look at how the brotherhood and sisterhood of these organizations fosters inclusion in a changing society.
Welcome to Real Talk with Denver7 and CPR News. I'm Denver7's Micah Smith.
And I'm Colorado Public Radio's Nathan Fernando Frescas.
Each week in a partnership between Denver7 and CPR, we have a real talk about issues impacting underrepresented people across Colorado and amplifying voices you may not always hear.
Yeah, and this week we're talking about what it means to be a member of a Greek letter organization and the powerful impact they have on the community. Now, I'm a proud member of the Phi Kappa Tau fraternity, a social fraternity founded in 1906.
And I'm a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a part of the National Panhellenic Council, which is a historically Black fraternity and sorority council, also known as the Divine Nine.
Greek life is much more than social activities. My fraternity, Phi Kappa Tau, focuses on brotherhood and service, two values that have been central to my personal and professional growth. And there are a few notable members, like film actor Paul Newman, astronaut Leroy Chow, and magazine publisher Malcolm Forbes.
And my sorority, whose members are often referred to as AKAs, is the first and oldest historically Black sorority, founded in 1908 on the campus of Howard University. Not only do we promote scholarship, service, and sisterhood, being an AKA has been a pivotal part in helping many college-educated Black women navigate our lives and our careers.
Yeah, and Vice President Kamala Harris is also an AKA. Martin Luther King Jr. was a member of Alpha Phi Alpha, the first Black fraternity in the NPHC. There are many familiar Black public figures who are part of NPHC.
But we're going to open up today's show with some other members of the NPHC on what it means to be a member of a historically Black fraternity and sorority. So joining us is Sinise Dixon, member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, and Javon Brame, a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Sinise, let's start with you. Tell us, what was it about Zeta Phi Beta that made you want to join?
Well, thank you. My father was an Alpha, and everyone in my family are AKAs. But when I went to Grambling State University, I found it to be such an amazing campus. That's number one. But also what I found out in sororities and fraternities, that it was such sisterhood and brotherhood. Now, the reason I chose Zeta Phi Beta is because of the sisterhood, because of the service. With my father being who he was, he wanted me to pledge AKA because everyone in my family is an AKA. But just to let you know, I have 4 sisters who are, one is an AKA, one is a Delta, one is a Zeta, myself, and then the other one is a Sigma Gamma Rho. So we have the whole Panhellenic community. And so with me joining, it was because on Grambling's campus, they really felt the sisterhood and the spirituality. Because I'm a Christian, I wanted to be a part of a sisterhood who loved Christ.
Well, I just have to back up a little bit to what you said about your sisters and you all being a part of a different sorority. For those of you who have no idea about this world of NPHC, this can be kind of taboo. There's a lot of pressure put on you if your mother or father are a part of a certain organization, or if you're a part of an organization, there's this expectation that everyone around you or the people you love join that same organization. So how did this happen? Did you not try to persuade the others to join Zeta Phi Beta?
I didn't, because I believe that we all have our own different personalities. And with the different sororities, it has its own personalities as well. And so my biggest concern was that if you're going to pledge, find the one that suits you and where your vision and your purpose is in life.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Javon, as member of Alpha, the first intercollegiate Greek letter fraternity for Black men, which was founded in 1906, what does it mean to follow in the footsteps of leaders like the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.?
I'm proud to be a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. There is a responsibility that comes with that membership as we stand on the shoulders of giants. And it's our responsibility to continue the work that those amazing members in our organization started and also take it to the next level. We don't want to rest on our laurels and say, oh, we've had great members in the past, right? We want to be great members ourselves and make a positive impact on our society and really live our aims of manly deeds, scholarship, and love for all mankind.
Yeah, I love this. You all are saying incorporated, incorporated. As a Phi Kappa Tau, I don't say incorporated, but it seems like there's a reason you all say that. Can either one of you kind of shed light on why that's so important to y'all?
Definitely. As the first intercollegiate fraternity for African Americans in the country, it was really important to Alpha Phi Alpha to solidify our history and our future. As we started to expand across the country, the business aspects of being a fraternity became really prevalent. And it is part of what has enabled us to still exist and function at the level of which we do today. And we have several legal entities. We're a 501c7 membership organization, but we also have 501c3 organizations around the country that are supporting various nonprofit entities and individuals at various levels for scholarships and doing the work in our community. We say we are a brotherhood, we are sisterhood, but we also handle the business of these organizations, which speaks to that incorporated piece.
Perpetuity. Perpetuity is key, right?
Absolutely.
I know that we all aim to work to continue the tradition of leadership and service. And I know for me, when I think about AKA, there are so many different initiatives that really speak to me. Scholarship is one. Our mobile health unit is another, where we're really focusing on Black women and their health, because we know that the healthcare system has a lot of inequities. But I'm interested to know, what are some of the local projects that your organizations have that really speak to you? And Shanice, we can start with you.
Well, first of all, we do have March of Dimes as well as mental health. And we want to make sure that women are understanding that we are there for one another and we're there to support one another.
Some of our signature programs locally include our Young Men of Alpha program, which is a mentorship program that we have for young African-American men in the Denver metro area. We also have a really important scholarship program that's funded by a foundation called the Georgie Haley Foundation, Georgie Haley was a member of our organization who made a sizable gift that allows us to award $7,000 scholarships annually to African-American males in the Denver metro area. So we're really excited about, continuing to move this work forward.
Why are these organizations still relevant today? Because, of course, back in the 1900s, Black students were not allowed to join historically white fraternities and sororities. Of course, that's changed. So why are they relevant today?
I think even as we go into kind of this next phase of our development as a society, we see some of the challenges that African Americans are facing. But it's important to recognize that we have members of various backgrounds and races and ethnicities in our fraternities and sororities now. We've grown, but there are people who are committed to moving things forward, moving our society forward, making things better for people that come after us. And that mission, that vision is still very necessary with where we exist now.
One of the things I can say for me, I'm an ambassador to the UN. And so I travel out of the country, in the country, and wherever I go, if I ever need that support and that network, I'm always able to look up the organization so that I can find out who can help me in Africa, who can help me in India. So there's all sororities and fraternities all around the country that's very, very supportive of each other.
Javon, Shanice, thank you so much for joining us for this Real Talk.
Stick around for our next segment, where we look at a multicultural Greek organization and their efforts.
This is Real Talk with Denver7 and CPR News. Welcome back to Real Talk with Denver7 and CPR News. I'm Colorado Public Radio's Nathan Fernando Frescas.
And I'm Denver7's Micah Smith. This week on Real Talk, we're highlighting Greek letter organizations and their impact in the community.
We just spoke with members of the National Pan-Hellenic Council, a historically Black Greek letter council. There is also a multicultural council, which aims to celebrate their members' cultural differences and uplift their common histories and heritages.
Recently, we spoke with Diana Lopez, president of Eta chapter of the Lambda Theta Nu sorority incorporated at MSU Denver. Lambda Theta Nu is a part of the Multicultural Greek Council, MGC.
Diana, so tell us briefly about Lambda Theta Nu. It's a Latino-focused sorority, right?
Yes. So Lambda Theta Nu Sorority Incorporated is a Latino-focused but not Latino-exclusive sorority. Our three main pillars are academics, community service, and sisterhood.
Awesome.
And we are really focused on helping women find a community that supports them and uplifts them throughout higher education, especially being with similar backgrounds such as being first gen and navigating that educational process alone, alongside with university is hard, just having a support system, somebody that's there that wants to see you succeed and they have your back no matter what.
Yeah.
So.
When you started at MSU, what drew you to Lambda Theta Nu? Was it that just sense of a shared background? Were you searching for friendship? What was it?
So there are 5 different sororities at Metro, but what drew me the most towards the Lambdas, I would have to say, was the sisterhood aspect. I really saw how they interacted with each other, and I loved being near that, I guess, environment. And they made me feel so comfortable right away. They made me feel like I was a part of their organization without even being a part of it. And then something else that helped was one of the sisters, she was in my Spanish class. So we kind of already built that connection, and then it grew from there.
I love the fact that there is a focus on first-gen students and having that outreach and that need. Are there first-gen students in your sorority, in your chapter?
Yeah, almost, I think all of us.
Oh, wow.
All of us are first gen. And our alumni, almost all of them are first gen as well. So it's really nice to know that we're not alone in this.
And so what are some of the things you talk about that are specific to like being a first-gen student, especially in a sisterhood where you can have these conversations that you may not have with somebody else?
I think just having those resources and being connected.
Yeah.
Being a part of an organization, we have so many connections to university resources. And our faculty advisor, for example, he connects us to different, let's say, financial resources for first-gen students or any other supplemental help that, like, let's say, help with FAFSA
Oh, sure.
or anything like that, that it might be difficult for us to figure it out since our parents have never been there to guide us through this process of going to university.
That's huge. As a member of a sorority myself, I know sororities and fraternities all too well have this stigma when it comes to you just party, you haze people, even sometimes maybe there's drug use. What were your thoughts about those things as you were joining your sorority? Were you concerned about any of those things?
Yeah, so I feel like when people look at a sorority or fraternity, they think of the movies. Right away, that's the first thing you think of, but it's not like that at all. And I remember attending an informational meeting, and they said that they did not condone hazing at all. And while, yes, this educational process that you go through to become a member, it teaches you about yourself, about your strengths, about your weaknesses, but in no way, shape, or form did they ever make us do anything that was scary, that like forced us to drink alcohol, anything along those lines.
Yeah. And I love the fact, but I mean, there is fun. Sororities, fraternities are fun. There is that bonding that happens. I mean, I'm in a fraternity and I have brothers that I still talk to every other week, right? And so talk about that aspect of being in a sisterhood and being a part of a group that you're going to be friends with for the rest of your life.
I think it's actually really neat. I don't know if I'm skipping ahead a little bit too much, but we've been established at MSU Denver now for 30 years.
Wow.
And I think it's really neat to have a lifelong friendship of women who they're supporting you, even if it's from afar. Even if you might not keep in contact every day, you know that they're still going to support you and be there for you.
And Diana, last question for you. I know this gets skipped over a lot with sororities and fraternities, but usually service is at the center of a lot of them and a big part of what you do. Briefly, can you just share some of the things that you all do in community?
Yeah, I would love to. So our philanthropy is called Tijeras, and Tijeras is focused on community service and academics, but we combine them together. And the way that we do that would be by focusing on hosting a Latina Youth Leadership Conference. And this is something where we usually pick around 2 to 3 schools, and we bring them to our campus. We host them. We host workshops as to why it's important to go to higher education. And it's really neat to see the students, whether they be middle schoolers or high schoolers, they leave the conference feeling so motivated, and they feel impacted, and it might even influence their decision on where to go to university. So
That's huge. All right, Diana Lopez, the president of Ada chapter of Lambda Theta Nu Sorority Incorporated. Thank you so much for joining us for this Real Talk.
thank you for having me.
Coming up, we're discussing a landmark moment for inclusion in Greek life, a public court battle involving a transgender woman's right to join a sorority.
This is Real Talk with Denver7 and CPR News. Welcome back to Real Talk with Denver7 and CPR News. I'm Denver7's Micah Smith.
And I'm Colorado Public Radio's Nathan Fernando Frescas. We're talking about Greek life and their efforts to promote a sense of community and belonging.
Many Greek letter organizations were created due to exclusion. For example, women couldn't join fraternities that existed, and people of color couldn't join predominantly white Greek letter organizations until after civil rights legislation was passed. But there's still more work to do when it comes to ensuring equity within these organizations.
Yeah, just this past summer, a federal appeals court in Denver rejected the appeal of 6 University of Wyoming students who sued Kappa Kappa Gamma over the sorority's admission of transgender women.
At the time, KKG's attorney said the court cannot make decisions about the sorority's bylaws.
The term women is undefined in Kappa's bylaws, and that term women is not a term that has a singular definition.
This landmark moment has sparked conversations about inclusion, identity, and the evolution of Greek life traditions. So joining us now is Naya O'Reilly, the founding president of a chapter of Theta Pi Sigma, an org that is open to any gender and racial identity.
Naya, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm so excited.
So I want to start with your thoughts on this lawsuit and how it affects efforts like yours for inclusion in Greek letter organizations.
Of course. I should also open up with my gender journey, or at least what stance you can see me taking. In the beginning, I was just non-binary. My pronouns are they, them, theirs. I was a non-binary femme for a really long time. I just recently, within the last month, started medically transitioning to a more masculine form, which is super exciting. But this lawsuit in particular strikes a chord with me because, unfortunately, I know if I had joined a fraternity or a sorority, I would have not been a woman enough or man enough to fit into either of them. That is such a weird judgment to make on someone's character. I personally don't think the gender of what you are makes you who you are. To say that we would just stop someone's membership, not even let them fully pledge, not even to see if they fit the true standards of a person being in a Greek org, solely based on you cannot perform gender in the way that we say, thus you can't be a part of this. I think that is so detrimental to Greek life and holds us back and brings us back to these tyrannical days of women not being a part of Greek life.
And for me personally, I know that men in my college chapter decided to fold when they were told that they couldn't admit transgender men, and they're now aligned with another inclusive organization. Now, that doesn't diminish for me the positive memories I have of Greek life, but it does kind of cloud the waters.
Oh, totally. I mean, it was crazy. I believe I'm CU's first non-binary Greek president, like, in history, which is weird. I also will say I'm a first gen. I didn't know what Greek life was. I didn't know what it meant or getting into it. But yeah, I still love Greek life. I think it made me such a significantly better person. And I definitely think it helped my siblings and put them on this great trajectory. But even being a part of this inclusive thing, I still faced issues with my university of they would call us a frat continuously and I'd have to correct them. We are a Greek organization. There is not all men in this group. But I will say this, the org that I'm a part of taught me so much of what it means to be a woman or to be a man or to be someone like me who's off that spectrum entirely.
Naya, you shared that you felt uncomfortable with the traditional rushing and pledging process. What changes did you implement in the process for your chapter to try to be more inclusive and make it a more enjoyable time?
I banned hazing. I did. And I'm not here to disparage Greek orgs or things like that. However, there are some things that probably shouldn't happen, right? And there's some playing of power dynamics between pledges and siblings that I totally despised. And so I did my best to erase it at the beginning. I worked with my pledge educator. I wrote down the curriculum. I said exactly what was required of my pledges, made sure they all were informed and consented. And that even though I was holding them to a higher rigor, because most college students, we're here to have fun. Like a lot of people that join Greek life, the draw is the parties, right? The draws are the friends, the community, the bonds that you make.
The line jackets.
Oh, those jackets are glorious. But yeah, like I still see my community because I still go to CU. I actually came back for a grad thing. I'm in a PhD program now, and I've seen slow and more inclusion. I am now seeing more non-binary people in orgs. I am now seeing more transgender people in orgs. Even when I was campaigning to join the Multicultural Greek Council, which they did not allow me to because of the genders, I don't want to be, again, disparaging to any of the communities that I have. However, I am Black and Mexican. I know about the historic feelings around gay culture. And at times, it did put my org in danger, I admit. Meaning, I had to even do, like, times where I couldn't let my members wear their letters because I didn't want other people to know that they were a part of this organization because we were getting physical threats of violence.
And so how do you balance that fear, that moving forward, the lack of inclusivity in a traditional fraternity, sorority lifestyle? Because again, you bring up a very good point. There are, sometimes very truthfully, things that happen in social fraternities and sororities that aren't great. And how did you overcome that thought process? Like, oh, they're going to haze me or they're not going to accept me for who I am, because that is a very real feeling, I can tell.
A lot of it was truly finding the power in myself, that if there is a system that I don't like and that I'm participating in, what is truly stopping me from making the changes that I want to see? A lot of the reasons or justifications for a lot of the actions that we do is tradition. We've done it for years. Why would we change it now? And that's reasonable. However, the world is ever changing. We're ever evolving. The whole point is that we're not stagnant. As a human race, we keep improving and going forward.
And I think it's important to note, Naya mentioned hazing. There is no Greek letter organization that condones hazing. A lot of hazing that happens is underground. But I want to make sure to say this before we go. If you are a victim of hazing, if you know someone who's a victim of hazing, report it to the proper authorities immediately. That can be police. That can be the council that's in charge of your fraternity or sorority or Greek letter organization. Make sure you are reporting those incidents. It is illegal.
And that's this week's episode of Real Talk with Denver7 and CPR News. Every week, we have a Real Talk on issues that impact Coloradans who are often overlooked.
You can find all of our shows on denver7.com/realtalk or at cpr.org/realtalk. Have a great day.